gun to your head.
What's with these questions, Hank? Don't ask me anything. I'll tell you what, Nicholas Patella, go yourself. Okay, all right. All right.
I'm Hank Green.
And I'm Brian David Gilbert. And this is Ask Hank Anything.
I'm Hank Green, and I think we can learn a lot about people from the questions they ask. Maybe we can learn more about them from their questions than their answers. So I've decided to invite people to ask me questions. Brian David Gilbert.
Hello.
Do you have questions for me?
I have more questions than you could ever possibly know.
It's really weird to start an interview show without asking people questions.
It is tough.
I have to fight it every time.
Yeah, no, it's good. And if you do ask me a question, I refuse to answer it from here on out.
Great.
Shall I go ahead and give you a question?
You can go ahead and do it, yeah.
Would you like that?
You can ask me any question you want, but those are the ones
these
that
are the
you
ones
sent
that
beforehand.
yeah, well, I'll throw in a couple hard ones just to throw you off. If I was forced to eat a part of my own body, which part would be best, both in terms of nutrition and how easy it would be for me to no longer have?
Why are you being forced?
We have already talked about how I'm not answering questions from you today.
I can't answer the question.
This is not called Ask Brian Anything.
This is important.
This is very clearly, you don't need to know why I'm being asked to eat a part of my body. It's happening, and that's all.
So you're being asked.
I'm being forced. The question says if I was forced to eat a part of my...
Are you forced by circumstance or by a person with a gun to your head?
What's with these questions, Hank? Don't ask me anything. I have asked you a very normal, simple question. Someone is forcing me, someone or something is forcing me to eat a part of my own body, and I need to do it for reasons.
Okay.
And then I have to do it. Which one's the best?
Well, if it is just that you need to eat a part of your body to fulfill a requirement,
yeah,
then you're doing it right now.
Okay.
Swallow for me.
Yes.
You did it.
That's it?
You ate some parts of your body.
Okay.
And you're gonna digest those cells that were in your mouth?
Sure.
You're gonna turn them into energy?
You understand that if I'm in a situation where someone is forcing me to eat a part of my body and I tell them that, they're gonna probably just shoot me, right? Like, this is a situation I'm being forced. Don't ask questions, Hank. I'm being forced. And I'm gonna come up with a cheeky answer like, well, I'm swallowing and that's cells in my mouth. They're gonna be like, shut the hell up and eat a part of your body. What?
So it's like a saw situation.
What is a sauce situation?
A saw, it's like a sausage situation. No, a saw, S-A-W, like the movies.
Saw situation. I was like, the sauce of my mouth is a sauce situation? What are you talking about? No, okay, yeah, here's the thing.
What sauces are we gonna use?
Look.
Which sauce would you most?
Doesn't matter, part of the body. When I'm talking about a part of the body, and if I'm like, okay, name a part of your body, I'm not gonna say the saliva in my mouth which contains cells. I'm gonna say a finger. I'm gonna say an ear. I'm gonna say
blood.
Blood, I would not consider a part of the body.
It's definitely a part of your body.
It is part of my body. It is not a
Let me
part
tell you,
of my body.
if you can get cancer in it, it's a part of your body.
I am sure that that's extremely important and personal to you, and I'm gonna ignore that entirely. But I've decided to say that for me, blood is
There's an easy answer. If blood doesn't count, there's an easy answer, which is a little bit of liposuction.
Okay.
And that's gonna be a little benefit on the side, because it's LA,
yes.
Get a little work done.
I have been looking for that, yes.
And then you don't have that under chin or that belly fat that you've so been disgusted by in the mirror.
So if you're assuming that in this situation where I'm being forced to eat a part of my body, they also could give me a buccal fat removal, and then I can eat the buccal fat, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some buccal fat.
And why would that be most useful to me, other than the obvious?
Nutritionally, it's great.
Okay.
It's just fat. Like, it's good stuff. Okay. You eat fat all the time. Fat's good for you. Fat's not bad for you.
And that would just go.
This would not be great. Like, if you needed food, like if you needed calories, this would be. Shouldn't do it this way, because it's better to just leave it in there. You're going to digest it. Yeah. You're going to convert it into sugars and in the long term as you starve. Okay. And that will go away. All right. But if you're being forced by like malnutrition, it's probably a whole leg.
A whole leg?
Yeah.
A whole leg.
I looked into it and I was like, probably like the left forearm, because like that's not useful. But a left forearm has 800 calories.
Seriously?
Yeah.
In the entire forearm?
And the whole arm. I was so disappointed.
That is disappointing.
So it's like a chicken sandwich.
If someone was to piecemeal me and then try to survive, one forearm wouldn't even get them their daily recommendeds, is what you're telling me.
And here's a wild fact. One of your legs, now you know one of your arms is 800.
Yes.
What do you think a whole leg, including your butt? Because butt is legs.
Including my butt, it's gotta be at least like 1,500 calories.
11,000.
11,000 calories? From the, okay, so sorry, 800. 11,000?
Yeah.
That's great. That's fantastic.
I was shocked.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I don't know why that makes me feel good. I don't know why I'm suddenly like, oh yeah, 11,000. I don't know why I just feel like it's a compliment. I'm sure it's assumed over an average of humans.
Yeah.
But I'm taking it as my personal leg is 11,000
so
calories.
many.
That's great.
You're living the life.
All right. Well,
big leg boy. That's what they call him.
This is good. This is great.
I was wondering if once you room to your leg, if you would need fewer calories, like in the long term.
Yeah.
You do need a little less, but
That's
not
good to
much.
know.
Turns out legs on their own, if they're not doing stuff,
Seriously?
they don't need much energy.
11,000 calories worth of leg, and it doesn't require that much.
Doesn't require that. It's like sort of takes care of itself. All of the sort of metabolism stuff, like brain. The brain is the thing that eats up all the energy, man. It's wild.
So I should get rid of that. That's what I've been trying to get rid of. Okay, good.
Do you feel like you have a better understanding of your body now?
I have a weirder understanding of my body.
He answered a question.
Oh no! You've led me into it. I can't believe it. I need to leave. What was another question I asked you? I like it when I forget what I've asked because it allows me.
You're just very good and weird questions.
Thank you very much.
I don't mean to say that our other guests didn't. They also asked good and weird questions,
but mine were the best.
I did. It was like every single one of these is a great.
I'm glad.
Easily slot into this show.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, this one's a good one. I know that a Godzilla-like creature probably can't exist. Yeah. But how big of a creature could actually exist before it gets crushed under its own weight?
So I did not realize how big Godzilla is.
Pretty big. Pretty big guy.
Do you have like a feeling about this?
Well, depending on which Godzilla you're talking about. There's a bunch of different Godzillas, and they vary enough in size, but I would say, close to 20 to 30 stories tall.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah? Which Godzilla were you looking at?
They're like, I saw a Godzilla that was the size of the Eiffel Tower.
Okay. And how big is the Eiffel Tower? I don't actually know that.
It's like exactly the same height as the Eiffel Tower.
Okay, that's good to know. I was afraid you were gonna like put it in kilometers or something, which would have also been completely useless to me since it's over in France. Who knows?
Yeah. It's bigger than the Statue of Liberty. I'll tell you that.
That's good to know.
By a lot.
All right, yeah.
They gave us the Statue of Liberty, but they were like, we're gonna build it.
We'll keep the special one for us.
It's gonna be way bigger.
Okay,
yeah.
that's fair.
So the
biggest
animal
is
a whale.
Yes.
And that has all these advantages of being in the ocean. So it doesn't really matter how heavy you are in the ocean, you're not gonna crush your legs because you're buoyant.
Yeah.
So you can just like be roughly the same density of the water, you can be whatever size you are without sinking.
Okay.
And so you have other constraints on you, which are mostly like the balance between taking care of your body and being able to like gobble up a lot of food at once. Like if you are coming upon a great group of krill, you want to be able to have a very big mouth to take that on. And that's basically one of the reasons, but like a big reason why blue whales are so big. Because they got to catch as many as they can when they hit those big krill swarms.
Fair. Yeah. I didn't think about, sorry to get you off topic here, but I didn't think about how much mouth size would affect. Like obviously it needs to be proportional to the body that is.
Yeah. Well, it's not proportional. The blue whale's mouth is much larger proportion of its body than ours.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Because we don't have to do like.
Yeah, but I've wanted to.
How much do you think like a blue whale taking like a giant swallow of krill feels like awesome?
I bet it's like, you know the feeling when you haven't had water all day and you know that you should have water? It's like you just yesterday read about how important it is to hydrate, so it's really on top of your mind, and then you also ran a mile because you've decided to get into exercising again.
But you forgot how that works,
but you forgot how it works, you didn't bring any water. Yeah. This has happened to me multiple times. And then you go home and you sip like a really cool glass. I bet that's what it's like for the whale.
It's gotta be great.
It's great.
Do you think like if we like gave them like a lot of curry spice, like if we curry spiced a bunch of krill, they'd be like, oh, thanks.
I think the whale, I think that would be the meanest thing you could do to a whale is to give them one curry spiced krill and then they have to go back to normal spiced krill for the rest of their lives.
Just like salty shrimp flavor.
And they're talking to the other whale friends and they're like, I had the best meal of my life and I know that I will never top it. And that's for the rest of existence. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's like that time I got upgraded to business class flying to France.
Yeah. And now you can't look back.
Yeah.
Now you're part of the bourgeoisie. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks. So, but land animals,
yes,
they have this constraint of they can't crush themselves. The biggest land animal we think was an Argentinosaurus. So blue whale, 150 tons.
Yes.
Big. Argentinosaurus, 70 or 80.
Okay.
So like bigger,
almost half,
than I would have thought.
That's a lot.
And we have done some math on what bones can do, how strong they can be, and gravity and et cetera, and like how all the stuff you need to serve a whole animal. And we think that you could get bigger than the Argentinosaurus.
Okay.
Maybe up to 100 tons.
100 tons?
Which is way smaller than Godzilla.
Okay.
I don't have a number for Godzilla in tons because he's just a man in a rubber suit.
Yeah, for sure.
Or used to be. Now he's just
CGI. Code. Now he's just bits and bytes.
He weighs nothing. He weighs electrons.
Yeah. Which I'm sure you would tell me has an amount of a weight, but I'm going to say is nothing.
It's basically nothing.
Okay, that's good. That's what matters.
Yeah, but it does. But what could we do to get that number higher?
Something, hopefully. Please tell me that there's an answer.
Give me a guess. What could you do?
So we steel bones.
Yes.
Yeah?
Steel bones. We could imagine on another planet, maybe they have like better different bones, like Wolverine bones that are stronger.
Yeah.
And so you could have like carbon fiber bones or something.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's an option.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Like, I guess that's kind of like the Mecha Godzilla way.
I did some rough sketches, but this could happen organically, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Like evolution could have taken a totally different path, and maybe bones would have just happened differently.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And they carbon fiber. Sure.
That'd be cool.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
So, and I did some math, and that also isn't going to get us to Godzilla sized.
Oh.
So how could we get to Godzilla sized?
More bones. But more bones. You put more bones in the body.
Eventually, the bones themselves get too heavy.
But more of them.
We have to stop changing the animal.
Okay. We have to change the environment?
We have to change
the gravity? That's the thing?
Yeah, we got to make it carbon fiber bones on a smaller planet.
Okay. Which is great because then he also looks bigger, just in general. Already, he's going to look even bigger because he's on a smaller planet. Mm-hmm. Okay. How small of a planet are we talking?
I can't do that math.
Hello, it's Future Hank, and it turns out that I can do that math, and in fact, it is very easy. So what we know is that Godzilla weighs like 200,000 tons, and also the maximum mass of an animal on Earth without crushing itself under its own weight is more like 100 tons. So we need a planet that takes Godzilla's 200 tons down to 100 tons. How do we figure that out? Well, we divide 100 by 200,000, which gives you 0.0005. So what we would need is a planet that has a gravity of 0.0005 g. Which is like very small. That's roughly the size of the asteroid Eros, which is only 10 miles across. Which, yes, would make Godzilla look absolutely huge, but it's also not even big enough of an asteroid to have collapsed into a sphere, so we are solidly outside of the range of even dwarf planets and into rocky asteroid territory. If we wanted to get Godzilla on an actual spherical object, which is what I want, we're gonna need to make her bones out of something besides bones. Perfectly crafted carbon nanotube structures can be at least 30 times stronger than bone, so carbon nanotube Godzilla could stand on a planet with 0.015 g. Pluto's gravity is 0.063 g. So even with carbon nanotube bones, Godzilla could not stand up on Pluto. Indeed, no dwarf planet in the solar system has a gravity low enough. But there are some spherical objects in the solar system, like Saturn's moon Enceladus, that would have a low enough gravity for carbon nanotube Godzilla to safely stand there on her own. Also, just to get out in front of this, there's some debate over whether or not Hygeia is going to be included as a dwarf planet, and if it were, then it would be by far the smallest dwarf planet, and it would also be a place that Godzilla could walk around on without crushing herself. And that's great. This Future Hank segment is brought to you by Maeve. So here's the thing we all know. What we eat affects how we feel. Diet influences our energy, our digestion, even our mood, and the folks at Maeve believe the same goes for dogs. And look, there isn't any reason why dog food doesn't have the same regulations as human food. It's just less vital to society because dogs are not people, but that doesn't mean dog food can't be human grade. Maeve makes what they call the first and only human grade protein-rich raw food for dogs, with no fillers and no additives. It's made of real stuff you can recognize by sight, which honestly is kind of refreshing when it comes to dog food. We got a lot of dog parents here at Ask Hank Anything. Perry, Hiroka's dog, loses his mind for this stuff. He is a big fan, and we trust Perry. He's got good taste, as far as I know. I haven't tried it. If you want to see what your dog thinks and how they react to Maeve, there's a link in the description. And if you do switch to raw food, we'd love to hear how it goes. You can tell us your story in the comments.
Before you said, I did some sketches, just very offhand, and I'm assuming you meant like numbers, math sketches, but I was really hoping you drew the Godzilla. You think that this is how Godzilla could work. I drew a little sketch of it. He's very muscular.
Oh man, this was a huge mistake.
Yeah, much more anthropomorphized than I would have expected for a Godzilla, but looking hot, looking nice.
Yeah, it's really sort of like from the rear picture too.
Yeah, which is what we were looking for, what we were hoping for. That was the real question I asked is how big of an ass can we put on Godzilla and have him survive? Godzilla with a giant butt can only exist.
That was actually my screen name in high school.
That's a good screen name. Hard to hack, I'm sure, but not the first thing people are thinking of. Very long screen name.
It was a lot of typing, but
that's a lot.
That was sort of fun for me.
Yeah, that is nice. That's great. Well, I look forward to the distant future when we can sometime go to a very small planet and create a big butted Godzilla.
You know, on my notes here, I feel bad about this because you said more bones.
Yes.
I did say multiple legs.
More bones. That's the same thing.
So I shut you down, but it's on the paper.
That's at least 2 more bones if it's just 1 bone. If you're putting more legs on it, I'm assuming, I don't know, you said 11,000 calories, that's at least 2 bones worth.
Did you know that more than half of your bones are on your hands and feet?
I did not know that. I don't think, you know what? I probably knew that in 7th grade when I had to memorize all the bones.
You memorized all the bones?
I memorized all the bones.
You didn't have to.
I didn't have to, but hey.
For academic decathlon.
Exactly. I really needed to know all the bones. It was really important.
You don't know all the bones anymore?
The one that I remember.
The ones in the hands are very hard. You just
tarsals?
Yeah. You didn't know all the names of the individual tarsals though.
Metatarsal.
Yeah, metatarsals.
Tarsals. I don't know the single ones though. I know that this one's called the patella.
Yep.
And I remembered that because there was a rude person in my life whose last name sounded kind of like Patella. And I was like, oh, that's how I'm going to remember it. It's because every time I see that person, I want to knee him. I want to knee him in the groin. And then I was like, oh, it's Patella. That's how I remember. And that's the only bone I can remember.
If you're watching, Nicholas Patella.
Now you know.
Watch out.
Don't come for me. I've still got a grudge, baby. That still lasted from 7th grade, as I said, when I memorized these bones. So
do you have any people like that?
Any like real nemesis?
You still have those grudges? Old grudges? New grudges?
I don't think I do.
Any nemesis? I had some nemesis, but I feel like I've given up on them and I'm just sort of sad for them now.
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, it happened. Like
that's beautiful.
Well, no, it's okay. Well, it's also
what
happened is a lot of the people I had big grudges with, things did not go so great for them.
Okay, fair enough. That I can understand feeling sad for. But when you are at the very beginning of that grudge, that's all you want. And then you get to that point and you're like, I've grown as a person and I can understand empathetically that sometimes life is difficult for us all because I'm an older man. And that's boring as hell. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Nicholas Patella, go fuck yourself. I'll hold that grudge forever. Okay, thank you for telling me about Godzilla and how big he can be. All right, you ready for
Giant Godzilla?
Another question
after
Giant Godzilla? Mm-hmm. All right, how could I get better than this? Let's say I get abducted by an alien that is at least attempting to communicate with me. Mm-hmm. What are some universal things about the universe, math, physics, I don't know anything, that I can show them that I understand in order to prove that I am at least slightly intelligent life?
Are you naked?
Oh, of course.
Shoot.
How could it be anything other than that? If I'm in a situation with an alien, I'm assuming they have evolved past the need for clothes.
Right, but you haven't. Did they come in the night?
Yeah, and baby, I'm buck naked. I would say 80% of the time I'm buck naked. They could show up at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday, and then maybe I'm already nude. I'm ready to go. They don't have to do anything. I'm rapperless, and I'm ready to get abducted.
Because if you've got this on,
yes.
A wonderful thing about aliens is they'd be like, ooh, refined metal, digital watch.
Oh.
You got acrylic lenses focusing light into your eyes. You've got textiles all over your body.
Yeah,
they're gonna be like, oh, they're like stage 3. They're like level 3 civilization just by what's happening on
so
your body.
Just stunting on them, showing off my drip is enough to impress the aliens?
Well, I don't know if they'd be impressed.
Okay, all right. All right. You be the judge of whether or not they'd be impressed. I think they'd be pretty impressed.
I think they'd be like, oh, look at these people trying to figure it out.
Okay.
I think we're way, like, I don't.
You think that aliens would be patronizing to us?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sweetie.
Oh, God,
I bet you still think that water is good for you. Oh, honey, I remember when we got that way.
Yeah,
my great-granduncle.
It was so hard when we were going through that stage.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, when we all thought we were different individuals. But if you're totally naked, you're gonna have a different set of challenges.
Yes, of course, of course.
So bees can do math.
Sure.
So that's like, you can't just do simple math and they'll be like, but they might be like, it's just a bee. Do you know how we know bees can do math? Because I love this.
Hit me with it, yeah.
They built a little bee house.
Okay.
And it had 3 doors in it. 1 door to go in the front door,
yeah.
and then 2 doors for 2 different rooms.
Yeah.
And one of the rooms had a bee present. Something bees
present?
like. A bee present. Something bees like.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. They had their PS5 in there, and it was a nice time for them. Okay. Yeah.
And then on the front door, they would put like 3 shapes. Mm-hmm. And then on the inside doors, they put various numbers of shapes. And if every time on the bee reward door, they put 1 less than what was on the front door, the bees would always know to go in the 1 less. So they wouldn't be looking at the number like they could. They could design the experiment to make them care about the number, but they don't design the experiment to make them care that it's 1 less of whatever's on the front door.
Oh.
And so the bees were able to like know what 1 less is.
Okay.
So bees can kind of do math.
All right. Hank, I'm not sure I could do that. I'm not 100% sure that
you don't think you could go through
they take me naked, put me in the door test upstairs on the UFO.
You don't need to be naked, you just happen to be.
I am already naked. We assume that I'm naked at this point in time. They're like, we don't know if he has textiles because he's nude right now. We keep picking up other guys that are, this dude is a special one. He's always nude. They bring me up there. They're like, we need to figure out a different way to see if he could do basic math. And they put me in that scenario. I don't think I'd be able to do it.
You'd be like, the shapes.
The shapes, I don't know.
There's a PS5 in there and you just like go and you never leave.
I never leave, exactly. I assume that they have given me a much better life. Is that they have adopted me and put me in the PS5 room and I never have to go home again.
Are there hot dogs?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the most evolved form of food, so I can only assume that the aliens have figured it out.
They just curry krill, just big piles of it.
I'm into
and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you'd have to do some math that's maybe a little bit like shows a little abstract thinking. You could do a Fibonacci sequence.
I can do that.
Can you? Can you do it for me?
1, 2, 3, 5, 8. The rest of them.
There you go. Yeah, you could do it. You could sit down and like do it in your head.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and you'd have to like clap it out because you don't know if they can understand what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. That's
I was thinking you could do it.
What if they think I'm just applauding them? What if they think they brought me to their PS5 room? They're like, wow, they have a weird way of cheering down there. That's really nice.
They applaud on the Fibonacci sequence. It's adorable. You could do a little dance for them, but I don't think that would do anything to show intelligence because lots of animals do little dances, but they might like it.
But it'd be impressive. I didn't put this in, but at the end of this, I want you to know that there's an implicit so that they like me at the end. All right? So
I don't just want them to know that I'm smart.
So that they like me and that they want me to hang out with them more.
Yeah. And they'll be like, he's like good. Okay. I like his YouTube videos a lot. He's an excellent comedian.
That's what I'm doing him for. Is so hopefully I get abducted and taken away from this.
Do you want to meet aliens?
Would love to meet aliens. And there's a couple aliens that I'd want to meet.
Okay, you want to meet specific aliens?
Specific aliens.
Which aliens do you want to meet?
Ben Quaterneros from Star Wars Episode 1. He's one of the pod racers. He looks like a little diamond boy with little stick arms. He's #1 alien I want to meet.
Okay.
The rest of them don't matter. That's just Ben.
Do you think you'd do a good job being an ambassador for humans?
No, I'm bad at first impressions. I'm terrible at first impressions.
I thought we just met.
Thank you.
And you made a great first impression on me.
Thank you for saying that we just met. That should show you how bad I am at first impressions. I just thanked you for meeting me. Yes, thank you. I'm here. Normal human.
Yeah.
I think that would be the other problem, is that the aliens would bring me up and they'd be like, okay,
humans are like.
All right, so humans fucking love Sonic the Hedgehog. That's the #1 thing that they love down there.
Yeah.
Ooh, they're really into it. And then they bring it down and then they realize that it's... I mean, that being said, if aliens brought down a bunch of Sonic stuff, they would do pretty well. They would do pretty well.
I think that'd be a big win.
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting. Like, what media do you think aliens should be into to make the best impressions on us?
Dang. That is very challenging.
Because I would not like it if they were like, oh, I love Game of Thrones. I'd be like,
that'd be a little bit.
That's ugh.
Oh, that's a tough
We're not
one.
like that anymore.
How would you feel about reality TV? Is there any specific reality TV that you would want them to watch? Want them to stay away from?
You know, honestly, if they just liked Dancing with the Stars, I'd be like, okay, they're normal.
Just watching a bunch of beautiful aliens just being like, who's behind the mask on Masked Singer? I just need to know. Yeah. Is it what D-list celebrity has come out to sing today?
Rudy Giuliani, that seems like a mistake. Why did they do that? That's, no.
Yeah, just only competition shows. I think that could be okay. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want them to see any fantasy stuff. Some fantasy stuff is good. If they read Ursula K. Le Guin stuff, then sure, why not? But anyway. Either way, I would like to meet an alien. I think it'd be nice too.
I would love to meet an alien.
I think it'd be cool.
I don't think I'll get to.
Probably not. You ever have that feeling where you're outside?
I met an octopus.
And that is like an alien?
A little bit.
Okay.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, but when you said you met an octopus?
I did.
But you didn't, in a formal setting, that's what meeting means to me.
Yeah,
did he say thank you to?
They brought me backstage at the aquarium.
Oh, wow. Yeah. They have a backstage?
And then the octopus comes right up because that's where they get fed.
Yeah.
And then I was like, nice to meet you.
That's nice.
It shook my hand.
Really?
Yeah, and then it started to bring my hand toward its mouth.
Yes.
And the aquarium keeper was like, no.
No, don't do that. That's the danger zone.
There's a parrot beak in there.
Yeah, that thing is scary.
Yeah,
it'll munch.
It's so soft everywhere except for the very hard part.
The one part that's very hard. And that was where it wanted to bring your hands, which is the danger zone.
It was like, are you a fish?
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Salty.
that's nice. So do you think that the octopus was impressed by you? Did you do any math for it?
I did actually want it to like me.
Yeah.
But I don't.
You don't think it did?
I think it was really there for the fish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Look, you got to know what your purpose is at that moment.
Yeah.
And at that moment, it was fish.
Yeah.
Any last words for me on things I can do to impress aliens?
It's hard if you're naked.
What if I did this? If I did the thing where you go,
oh yeah, you got a good one.
That was one good one. Just ADR all the other ones to be really good. All right? Just cut that one and put them on all of them. If I did that, do you think they would be impressed with me?
I think that there's probably an element to that that's like, oh,
is there a party trick? What is the top party trick that aliens would be
tongue twister.
Oh.
Maybe a tongue twister.
Okay. And that would be like...
That
would be impressive.
I slid the sheet I slid, and on the slitted sheet I sit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that would be like, oh,
you're like, oh.
They're dexterous?
Well, I mean, actually, our tongues are probably a tongue-mouth situation and larynx, like voice.
Yeah.
Probably the most impressive part of our body.
Okay. Well, believe me, if things are going the way I want them to go, they're going to be getting some tongue-mouth action.
I don't know why. I thought that wasn't going to happen.
All right, next question. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to meet an alien, Brian says. And by meet, I mean...
That's why I said thank you beforehand when you said you met me. I just have a totally different perspective on what meeting means. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. What is the average time duration of yellow lights in America?
Nom, nom, nom. I love this question.
That's a good question.
I love a question where the information's out there.
Yeah.
Like, there is an answer.
There is an answer.
There is an exact answer even.
Yes.
Like, you could take it out to infinite figures if you wanted to.
But you were able to do this?
No.
No?
No one can. No one knows. No one but the thing is, I think in the future there will be. And someone will know it.
Someone will know.
Because all of the automated car companies will have
all the data.
Footage of every single yellow light in America.
Yeah. But right now, the answer is you have to go to every single yellow light.
You'd have to go out and do it.
Okay, now here's a question for you. What's the...
Because they're not the same.
They're not the same, obviously, depending on speed and whatever. Is there like an algorithm? Is there like an equation for how civil engineers figure this out?
Yeah.
That seems absurd to me.
There's a rule. There's actually a rule. They have to be between 3 and 6 seconds.
Okay.
So in America, they are no longer than 6, no less than 3. That's
yellow lights?
A pretty big range.
Okay. Yeah, that is that's huge for...
Yeah, and it comes down to, like, there are basically tables that tell you for like certain situations how long you should have your yellow light be. But there's differences of opinion. There's also the situation where you have like the flashing light before the yellow light. It's like the light's gonna turn yellow. You're going really fast and it's far away, so start thinking about this. Which is weird to have like a yellow light. It's like a yellow light for the yellow light.
Extra caution for it. And now again, this is another question. I'm just asking you more things that you've not prepared for. But some lights, obviously, some lights trigger differently depending on like how many cars are there. What's the, when I drive up to a thing, I see a little circle. What is that? And is there any way I can game it? Because my older brother, right after he got his license and we were driving home late one night, he was like, Brian, let me show you a secret about how you can get a green light faster. And he got up to the little circle and then he reversed and then pulled up and then went back and forth and then it would turn green. And I'd be like, you're so smart. But also I did have the thought now as an adult, which is, you were just doing something for the entirety of your red light, which made me feel like I wasn't as...
It's probably the second one.
Okay.
I actually don't know if that does anything.
Okay.
But yeah, that's just a wire in the ground. It has a very small current passing through it. When something big and metal comes near it, it disturbs that electric current and then it's detected as a signal by the box to say, basically, it's like pushing the button at the crosswalk, but for cars without having to push a button, so that the light doesn't have to constantly be cycling.
Gotcha.
If it doesn't need to. There's a problem with this, which is that bikes don't make it go off. So all of us nerds on our bikes are like getting off onto the sidewalk and pushing the button. Or like laying our bike down on the sensor and like waving it around. I've done this. It can work. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, that's interesting. And I imagine that would also affect the average time duration of yellow lights, is that if, no, because that wouldn't change anything. It would just make the red light go on the other and the same duration all the time for the yellow light. The yellow light's always going to be the same.
And like it might be that there's more than one sensor. So if like a car comes and stops here and then it detects we got one car and then like another car and then like a third car and it's like, okay, we got a third car, so we're gonna have to keep this like greener for longer. Same green, same amount of green. But for longer. And it'd be cool if they just like made it greener.
That would be fun. I would like that.
It's not on the table.
I remember seeing some person post like a fake prototype idea for like a red light that has wedges in it to show you how long the red light is going, and then it would go. And the first thought is like, oh, that's cool, that would be helpful. And then the second thought is that would cause so many goddamn accidents in this country, because if I knew that I could start right after that final wedge, I would just go. And in LA, you need to wait at least 2 or 3 seconds for all the other left-turning cars and people going through reds to go before. So that's not a good idea.
I think that's not a good idea. The bigger problem than going quick would be people who are still moving. And they're like, oh, the light's gonna turn green. I'll just not put my brakes on. And then they're in the intersection much faster.
Much too fast.
Which you don't want.
That's no good.
Okay. I like it. Let's do like new user interface design for our whole world. It's probably a bad idea.
It's probably a bad idea.
It's weird, like all of like traffic management stuff is so easy as a layperson to be like, why are they doing that that way? And they're like, oh, actually, there's like a bunch of complicated reasons why we do it that way. And you don't want to know. So can you just trust us? And it's like, I don't want to trust you. I don't trust anybody anymore.
Civil engineering and any sort of like transit management is the closest thing to wizardry.
It's wild.
I don't understand how it works. And yet I will still get very angry that we don't have public transit in Los Angeles, or effective there is public transit. But I will still get very upset about it, and they'll say, how do we fix it? And I'll say, I didn't go to school for that. That's not my job.
They built this city in a weird way.
They did.
LA has a lot of personality, I think, because it was built before we figured out how cities worked.
Okay, that's fun.
They were like, we have cars, we can build a city for cars. But we don't know how to do that, so we built a city for cars badly.
Really, really not good for cars. Yeah, it's a dangerous place to drive. It's not great.
It's very weird. I've said this before in public, but I have a pet theory that LA drivers are good.
That's a great theory that you have. That's a very
I've driven all over this country.
It's cool that you have it, and I'd love to hear the thesis argument for it.
Is that not your experience?
It's not.
I've driven
100%
everywhere.
my
Drivers
experience.
aren't good anywhere.
No, they're terrible everywhere.
But they're better here because they are constantly faced with difficult situations.
Yes.
So they pay more attention.
That's fair. But the thing that I would say to point against it is that as soon as there is no traffic, it becomes infinitely worse here.
Yeah.
You want there to be gridlock so that everyone's driving safely.
Yeah.
The 2 times I've gotten into the closest accidents was me driving on the morning of Thanksgiving when no one was on the road, and then some dude just like merged 8 lanes over because they're like, there's no one on the road. I was like, no, I am here. I am also still on the road. Please don't hit me.
There is one other.
There's one other person on this road. It's me, and you almost killed him.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. So yeah, I don't know if I agree that LA.
I feel like everybody's a little bit more in it together.
Yeah.
In Missoula, when the light turns green, the person will take a little moment to sort of finish their round of Candy Crush.
Yes.
Here, when the light turns green, everybody going, or else.
That is true.
Yeah,
that
murder
is true.
occurs.
Yeah, that you do get honked immediately.
Yeah, definitely honked.
That's good.
In Missoula, honking is very impolite, and I do it.
Good. Congrats. You gotta change the paradigm. You gotta make sure that people are honking over there.
Yeah.
So average time duration between 3 and 6.
If you asked the people at Tesla and you could get a response, I bet they'd give you
a pretty close
answer.
But only for specific cities because all of the Teslas are here in Los Angeles.
No, they're all over. We got them.
There's a couple over there. Okay.
They've taken pictures of all of our yellow lights by this point.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So the information is out there, but impossible to get. I love a question where like there's an answer, but we just like haven't
don't know it.
bothered to know it yet.
Okay. All right. Well, good to know. I won't personally use this average time to make my traffic decisions.
Don't make bad decisions.
I won't do that. What's the weirdest amphibian?
Oh, yeah.
And I did qualify. I know this is technically an opinion.
Sure.
But we know there's one. There is really weird one, right? Yeah. Okay, tell me about it.
I mean, it's a whole group. So there's a bunch of species.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of a Sicilian?
Only once, and I think it might have been the one time that I was on a live stream with you for...
Oh, I can't shut up about Sicilians.
Yeah, this is important. I remember you said it, and I said, Italian people?
Yeah.
Because I did not know that there was a different way you could spell it.
Yeah, yeah. It's pronounced very similar to Sicilian for people from Sicily.
Yes.
But Sicilian. How is Sicilian?
How's it spelled?
Sicilian is spelled, I have it in my notes.
Oh, we got to pull it up. It's a difficult...
C-E-A.
Not how I was going to start it.
C-I-L-I-A-N-S. Sicilians.
Sicilians. The only S is in there if you pluralize it. Yeah. Otherwise, there's no S's in Sicilians. Okay, cool. And what's their deal?
They're like amphibian worms.
Okay.
Or amphibian snakes, I guess, probably
amphibian
more accurately.
Snakes.
They don't have legs.
Yes.
They burrow. They're burrowers.
Yeah.
They are gross looking. They're beautiful.
You're talking to the guy who's trying to do some mouth-tongue action with aliens. So
if you looked into
before you call something gross.
Into the double jaws of a Sicilian, you might think to yourself, that is as close as I can get, so I might as well try.
Okay.
They can be very big and very small.
Yes.
Bigger than you'd want to be in.
How?
Like
that big?
Yeah, like weird big.
Why?
Well, they're down there eating stuff. They eat worms, they eat bugs, they can eat like frogs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's much bigger.
They're predators. Sometimes they're much smaller.
Okay.
And they give live birth, which is weird.
Yeah.
And then they also take care of their babies in the best way I've ever encountered. So we have milk. You know about milk? Mm-hmm. Milk, what's milk for?
Drinking.
Yeah. Why did mammals?
I have to say, this was the only question that you've asked me today that I was like, there's a trick answer. Like, I don't know, what do we have milk for? I've never considered it.
Why did mammals evolve milk, do you think?
It's for nutrition. It's to feed babies, right?
Yeah. So the babies get like extra great nutrition so they can grow faster when they're younger, be healthier when they're younger.
Sure.
And milk was great, and that made all the mammals happen.
Yeah.
Sicilians do something very similar, where the mother, after giving birth, will grow a thick, fatty layer of skin that the babies eat off of her.
Oh, that's nice. Like a little, they corn dog themselves, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
And then you just eat the nice little surrounding bit. Mm-hmm.
It's like amphibian milk. So it's just like this very nutritious skin that she grows, and then the babies eat it off of her. And I've never gotten over that.
Yeah. So how?
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, so what makes an amphibian? Because you just said that they have live birth, and in my head I was like, amphibians, one of the only things I know about them is that they have their little eggs.
That's a great point.
So that's fine? That's just okay? We're just cool with that?
They are from the same common ancestor of all the other amphibians.
Okay.
They need wetness.
Yes.
They can't be dry.
Yeah. Do they breathe? They breathe oxygen?
They breathe oxygen.
And, okay, but so they just like pop out their holes and...
Apparently there's enough air down there. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, these are the weirdest amphibians. Yeah, you are correct about this. You were, all right.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think there's like a case to be made for axolotls, which are also very weird, and they have like cute little smiles, and they regrow
cute.
their limbs.
But the fact that they are cute stops, I mean, here's the thing, there are a lot of cute, weird things out there.
Yeah.
But this does seem, thank you very much. That's what I'm fishing for, that compliment specifically. I always fish for my compliments that can also still be backhanded.
Yeah.
I prefer to fish for compliments that they're like, you're pretty good at what you're doing. You're doing as well as you can.
You're very cute for a weird.
You're a little weirdo. It's nice. No, it's okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I mean, you are wearing a gold digital watch. I don't think that you're going for normal.
No, you are correct about that. I'm not really setting myself up for classically handsome, but
you get there. You got there anyway.
So okay, back to Sicilians. Back to the other weird creatures we're talking about.
Yeah.
How big do they get? Is it a situation where the skin, they eat it all up, and then once it's done, and there's no more? Or do they?
Yeah, there's sort of a stage of the life where they're eating the skin, and then they sort of get big enough, and the mom moves on from that stage.
And if I were to see a Sicilian, one that was in corn dog form and one that was not corn dogged at that time, would I be able to tell the difference? Or do they both just kind of look like skin?
Know. I did just look it up, and they can be from 3.5 inches to 5 feet long.
5 feet long?
Yeah.
That's not right.
It's correct.
It's correct, but it's not right.
Gotcha.
Double jaw. Explain that to me one more time.
I don't actually know. I tried to look and see if there's like pictures of the inside of their mouths. They had like the alien thing going on, but I couldn't see it. But they said that they had like a double jaw muscle.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So people who have dissected Sicilians are like, oh, that's an interesting anatomical thing.
That's good. Yeah. But otherwise, I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that I don't know much about them. I've only heard about them once or twice in my life.
Yeah.
But is that just scientists are like, we don't need to know more about these guys?
That's the other thing. They're very like, they are hard to find.
Oh.
Because they're always underground.
Yeah.
And so we don't know a ton about them. Mm-hmm. And they're also in like areas of the world, like they're in like dense forests, they're in tropical areas.
Yeah.
Just areas of the world. Like if they were native to England, we'd know all about them.
Fair.
But we have a lot of sort of gaps in our understanding of them because they're hard to find.
Yeah.
We don't really understand we don't spend a ton of time looking inside of their ecosystems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's a good thing?
There's much more to learn.
I
don't think so.
I know I'm saying it to the person who's all about knowing things.
Yeah.
But don't you think that there are some times that you're like, we get the gist of this animal. we get the basic idea of it. I
just leave them alone.
We don't need to know more about this. I was gonna say, the thing that I recently learned was that, so Komodo dragons, they have a venom in their mouths, right? But for a very long time, we just thought that they had a ton of bacteria that when they bit something would cause sepsis immediately, and like that's how they would die. And then they only learned about this in like 2014, right?
Yeah.
And so for a very long period of time, the like full knowledge of Komodo dragons was, don't get bitten by them because something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's all the knowledge you need. I don't think we need to know about the anticoagulant. We don't need to know about the neurotoxin. We need to know,
just don't have that happen.
Don't get bit.
That's the majority of what you need to know.
Yeah, right?
It is like don't let that happen.
Sure.
But then if it happens, it's good to know what's going on.
It's good to know, I guess.
For the people that it happens to.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not a lot of people get venomous bites.
No.
But like enough that we have to worry about it medically.
We have to think about it.
And I was recently at the Denver Zoo, and they have on site a huge number of antivenoms.
Oh.
Because they have a bunch of snakes. So they have an antivenom for every snake that they have. Wow. And that also means that when someone in the world gets bit, the hospitals call the zoos.
That's fun. That's cute.
Yeah, it is.
That's really nice,
it's like, hey, zoo, can you send us this one?
100% what I would believe as a 5-year-old. And I am so happy to learn that that is actually what happens. That like, if I were like, oh, I got bitten by a thing, better call a zoo. Time for me to call the zoo right now because they know about animals the most.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, you should go to the hospital first, and the hospital will call the zoo for you. They have the number of the person with the giant freezer full of antivenoms.
If I get bitten by a venomous snake right outside the LA Zoo.
Yeah, run in there.
Should I just run in there?
Yes.
Okay, that's great.
I mean,
this is legal advice. If you get bitten by a venomous snake outside the LA Zoo, you are required to run in there.
They might not have the antivenom for the exact snake you have.
But they probably do, because if it's LA based, I would hope that they would show off one of the LA snakes.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're like, that one's out there. We only show off the special weird ones.
That's a shame.
But a lot of times people get bit by the weird ones because they have them in their homes as a pet.
Oh.
So they get like a fancy venomous snake.
Yeah.
Which is a bad idea.
I feel like it's a bad idea, first and foremost, to have that. It's a bad idea to not start by buying the antivenom.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't buy them?
I mean, you might be able to.
I can buy them.
Get that Tor browser, get in the dark web.
I'm in the dark web not to find a hitman, but to just buy a bunch of anti-venom. I could do it. You give me a day or two, I got connections.
That's great that you think so. I mean, I wouldn't put it past you.
Are they controlled substances?
I actually don't know if they are or not. Right. I know that they're expensive.
Yeah, that's probably the defining factor for me. Yeah. So actually, I take it back. I don't think I could get them. Not that rich.
Yeah.
But someday, that's my hope.
Yeah.
A refrigerator full of antivenom.
And then the zoo has to buy more antivenom, and I'm like, who's paying for this?
Yeah, who is paying for that?
This is a jerk with a green mamba snake in his house.
Yeah.
Not being careful.
Gotta be careful.
What's his name? Nicholas Patella.
Nicholas Patella. I hope you do get bit by a snake. I am making violent physical threats at you on this public platform, Nicholas Patella.
Oh, man. That's all the questions you had.
That's all the questions. I'm sure I could sit here and ask you many more questions forever, but thank you for answering those ones. I feel a lot more learned.
Did you want me to think a thing about you when you sent those questions? Were you like, I want Hank to think I'm a funny weirdo?
Did you think that about me?
I already thought that about you.
That's fine then. I ask those questions just because they truly are things that I think about all the time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Is your brain sort of like zooming around?
I wouldn't say that. I would say it's very still and then suddenly has a moment of, but if I get abducted by aliens, I should know something. I'm not prepared for this situation.
Sure. I would love for my brain to ever be able to be described as still.
I lied about that. It's not really still. Here's the one thing I will say that really kind of shook me to my core recently was that I was talking to my wonderful partner, Karen Hahn, about sleeping and about how it's difficult to do.
Sometimes, yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, like that feeling when you like go to sleep and like you can't stop thinking about things? And she's like, not really. And I was like, what happens to you when you go to sleep? And she was like, oh, well, I kind of just like lie on bed and then I close my eyes and then I don't think about anything until I go to sleep. And I was like, people like that exist in the world?
It's almost like it makes me mad.
It did make me very mad. You should know, it didn't make me mad at her. Yeah. It made me mad at the universe. Yeah, and why was I a situation that I could have, I didn't know that was an option until that moment, and then suddenly I was denied that option. And it was
like the blue whales with the curry krill.
Exactly. It was the exact same situation. And it
except it's just the guy telling, the whale telling the other whale about curry krill. Yeah. And being like, can I have some? It's like, no, you can't. That's not for you.
I will say the worst thing about it is that now when I go to sleep, I have one more thing to think about, which is the fact that Karen's not thinking about anything right now. Wow, look at that. Just 2 feet away from me, she's not thinking about a single thing.
She's just got sheep in there.
How nice.
Just clouds, fluffy little sheep.
How pleasant.
If you want to ask some questions, I can learn about you, and you can do that in the comments. And if you see a question on that you like, give it a little upvote, and I'll answer a few of the top ones over the next week or so. And I bet if you want to subscribe to the channel, that would ultimately be a net good for you. There's probably a button nearby that would allow you to do that, and also sign up for notifications, because we've always got more cool people that we're talking to here on Ask Hank Anything.
Thank you to everybody who helped make this episode. If you've been watching or listening and you have some questions, you can leave them in the comments. If you see questions that you like, you can upvote those. I'll answer a few of them in the next few days. Also, if you want to see more of what we're up to, you can join the Complexly newsletter by visiting complexly.com.